The skies over Earth were clear just moments before it happened. People were living their normal lives, going to work, watching TV, walking their dogs. Then, without warning, the air changed. Clouds twisted unnaturally. A deep hum echoed across cities. And in the blink of an eye, they arrived. Massive alien ships, black, silent, and unlike anything Earth had ever seen, filled the sky. They didn't send any message. They didn't fire. They just hovered there, watching. Governments around the world panicked. Military scrambled jets launched warnings and set up defenses. But the ships made no move. In a quiet town in Montana, one of the ships slowly descended. It made no sound, no light, just a cold shadow falling over the land. People gathered, at a distance, recording it on their phones. But as it touched the ground, something strange happened. The ship stopped moving. Minutes passed, then hours, and finally, just silence. By morning, the ship was gone, not destroyed, not lifted, back into the sky. Just vanished. No crater, no parts, only a strange black mark on the grass where it landed. And it wasn't just in Montana. Reports started coming in from around the world. Ship after ship had landed, then disappeared. No damage, no noise, nothing left behind. Scientists were confused. Military leaders were on edge. People waited for answers, but none came. Every alien ship that landed never returned. It was as if Earth had swallowed them whole. The world was still holding its breath. After the last alien ship disappeared, a strange quiet fell over the planet. No new landings, no attacks, no communication from the stars. The skies were empty again, but no one felt safe. What had happened to the Armada? Why had none returned? Across the globe, satellites scanned for signs of movement, energy, or distress signals. Nothing. It was as if the entire alien fleet had been erased. Countries formed emergency alliances. Leaders gathered in secret. Earth hadn't fired a single shot, yet an invasion force simply vanished. In a high-security base deep beneath the Swiss Alps, a team of scientists and intelligence officers gathered around a large screen. They had just received drone footage from one of the ship landing sites. The drone had scanned the location only 48 hours after the ship disappeared. What it showed made no sense. There was no wreckage, no impact zone. But the soil was magnetized. Trees nearby were dead. And in the center of it all, a perfect black circle, no heat, no radiation. But when a second drone flew lower, it lost connection and never came back. A special task force was sent to investigate in person. They approached slowly, wearing full protective gear. When they reached the circle, they stopped. There was no sound, not even birds. One of the soldiers reached down to test the ground. It was cold, too cold. And then he saw something, etched faintly into the earth. A symbol, circular, alien, but no one knew what it meant. At another site across the ocean, a different team explored a second landing zone. They found something even more disturbing, fragments of the alien ship. But the material had melted, as if exposed to intense heat, yet the grass around it remained untouched. Inside the fragments, nothing. No alien remains. No signs of life. Scientists all over the world studied the data. Nothing added up. There was no known weapon that could do this. And if Earth didn't destroy them, then who or what did? And so, Earth waited. The silence from the stars grew louder, and somewhere, just beneath the surface, a terrifying question began to rise. Did the alien Armada come to invade Earth, or did they unknowingly walk into something far more dangerous? Across the world, people tried to return to normal life, but nothing felt normal anymore. News channels looped the same question over and over. Where did the alien fleet go? Scientists gave careful answers. Governments said investigations were ongoing. But behind closed doors, fear was growing. At a deep science station in Antarctica, something strange was happening. A group of researchers had been studying minor tremors beneath the ice. At first, they thought it was natural activity, just shifting glaciers. But the pattern was too perfect. Every tremor followed a rhythm as if something was pulsing deep below. Then, one morning, all of their equipment shut down. Power returned in seconds, but one screen didn't come back on. It was the seismic monitor. When it finally restarted, the team saw something no one expected, a large circular structure buried beneath the ice. It hadn't been there before. Or perhaps it had just turned on. News of the discovery reached a private task group formed after the landings. The team included Earth's top geologists, linguists, and astronomers. When they arrived, they confirmed the impossible. The structure wasn't natural, it was ancient, and it wasn't built by humans. As they explored deeper beneath the ice, they found something even more disturbing. The structure had writing carved into stone, symbols that matched the ones found at the alien landing sites. But the markings weren't just decorative. They were warnings. Some were translations using patterns from old Earth languages. One message stood out: "Do not open, do not disturb. This place is sealed for a reason." It wasn't just a buried ruin. It was a vault, a lock, and it had been hidden for longer than humans had existed. At the same time, across the globe, other teams discovered similar energy signatures in deserts, oceans, and mountain ranges, all coming from deep underground, all pulsing at the same rhythm. The more they investigated, the more a theory began to take shape. The alien ships didn't vanish because of human resistance. They vanished because Earth isn't just a planet. It's a boundary, a prison, and whatever it's holding woke up the moment they arrived. Far beyond Earth's solar system, in the shining heart of the alien empire, the silence had grown impossible to ignore. Weeks had passed since their greatest armada had entered Earth's orbit. Hundreds of ships, elite command crews, unmatched technology. It was supposed to be a quick operation: secure the planet, subdue resistance, establish control. But now, there was no word, no signal, no distress call, nothing. Inside the grand chambers of the High Council, leaders gathered under a massive star map. Red markers still glowed around Earth, frozen, unchanged. Fleet commanders argued. Some believed it was a communication failure. Others feared something worse. They sent small scout vessels, fast, stealthy, impossible to trace. But they, too, vanished. The Empire began to panic, not publicly, of course. The people were told the mission was proceeding as planned. But in secret, new questions began to rise. Earth, a small blue planet with primitive weapons, could not have wiped out an entire fleet, not without making a sound. Soon, whispers spread beyond the council. Traders, mercenaries, and explorers passing near the Sol system spoke of strange energy readings. One ship captain reported seeing a strange red light pulsing from the dark side of Earth's moon, something not natural. Another claimed his navigation systems broke down the moment he entered Earth's gravity range. What disturbed the council most wasn't the silence from the fleet. It was the message that one unmanned probe had returned with only a fragment of a signal. It was a sound, a low, steady vibration like a heartbeat echoing through the stars. Underneath it, one sentence repeated, distorted and broken. Do not approach. Sol. In ancient records long buried by the Empire, a warning was found. A legend thousands of years old about a planet surrounded by invisible barriers. A planet that once consumed the vessels of a forgotten race. The place was marked on no star maps. Until now. That planet was Earth. Suddenly, the Empire wasn't worried about defeating humans anymore. They were terrified of what might already be living on the planet they tried to conquer. And now, the entire galaxy began to ask the same question. What has Earth been, hiding all this time? And why did no one return? The world had stopped asking what happened to the alien fleet. Now the question was why. In hidden labs and underground archives, Humanity's top minds searched for answers. Across continents, deep within mountains and beneath oceans, ancient structures began reacting, glowing softly, emitting signals, awakening after being silent for ages. These were not human creations. They were older, much older. In one of the newly discovered sites buried under layers of volcanic rock in Indonesia, scientists found a chamber. At the center stood a pillar of smooth black stone, humming with energy. Around it, walls were covered in strange carvings, symbols that matched the markings found at the alien landing zones. With careful translation, a message slowly formed. The lock is not Earth, the lock is below. For centuries, humans thought they were alone, or at least unimportant in the galaxy. But these discoveries told a different story. Earth wasn't chosen for invasion because it was weak. It had been avoided, for millennia, by everyone. An ancient race, long extinct or long hidden, had turned Earth into something more than a planet. It was a seal, a boundary. And deep below, its surface, something had been buried, not as punishment but as protection, not for humanity, but for the galaxy. The alien fleet didn't trigger a war. They broke the silence. Their arrival, their landing, their movement, they activated the oldest defense mechanism Earth had. But it wasn't a machine. It was something alive, something aware. And now, it was waking up. What Earth scientists feared most wasn't what the aliens had done. It was what had been stirred. Across every activated site, energy levels rose. Not just signals, but memories. Fragments of thoughts not human in origin. Whispers in minds, of those who spent too long near the relics. Dreams of dark skies, endless hunger. A presence cold and patient waiting just beneath the crust. And then came a realization. Earth was never meant to be explored, conquered, or studied. It was meant to be left alone. Because beneath it sleeps something the stars themselves once feared. And now that it's stirred, it may no longer stay asleep. Far above Earth, drifting beyond the reach of satellites, a single alien probe floated in silence. It was the last of its kind, the only vessel from the great Armada that ever made it back into space. But it didn't carry a message of victory or discovery. What it held was a warning. Inside the probe's memory core was a distorted signal, static, strange frequencies, and layered beneath it. A pulse, like a heartbeat, deep, slow, endless. And wrapped within that sound, a voice, not spoken in words, but felt through emotion, fear, confusion, and then silence. The probe returned to the alien empire's edge, transmitting what little it had before its system shut down entirely. Engineers tried to recover its logs, but most of the data was corrupted, almost as if something had burned through its core without touching its surface. All that remained was the pulse, and a final image. It showed Earth, from orbit. But something was different. A faint red glow pulsed from its oceans, forming a shape that couldn't be explained by weather, light, or atmosphere. A circular pattern, like an eye, half open. Across Earth, the strange underground relics began to dim, one by one, as if their purpose had been completed. In Antarctica, the black stone pillar crumbled into dust. The signal was gone. Whatever had been waking had fully awakened, but nothing changed on the surface. No explosion, no disaster, just quiet. Yet something was different. People began to dream of stars they had never seen. Children spoke of voices, calling from beneath the ground. Animals behaved strangely, and one by one, sensitive instruments across the planet began picking up a new signal. Not noise, but coordinates. A location in deep space, far beyond the known edge of the galaxy. A point that didn't exist on any star chart. A place that, according to every measurement, should be empty. But the signal was clear. It wasn't calling humans. It wasn't even calling the Empire. It was calling whatever else might still be out there, and across the stars in forgotten corners of the universe, something began to answer. Back on Earth, a quiet storm gathered in the sky, unseen, unfelt. But very real. The fleet never returned, because they weren't just stopped. They were noticed. And now so was Earth.